everybody. I want to say hello. This is the Harold Henderson Real News Show. Organize, don't criticize. Folks, we are here today to give you some additional information that's been going on for the last 18 years. From time to time, we have been on this station and other stations talking about Action Leadership Institute. And now we're putting a lot of emphasis on organization. We call it Organize, Don't Criticize, the Human Enemies of Mankind. And I guarantee you today we will be talking more about that. We have Mr. Purvis Williams here. He will be asking a few questions and I will be giving some answers. He will be giving answers. And we will be addressing two areas of responsibility. You know, I always address 5 areas of responsibility. Been doing it for 18 years or so. And I'm going to always do that until I die. I'm going to always talk about in one form or manner education and training, religion, leadership, economic development, and politics. Even when I'm preaching or singing or praying, I'm going to be talking about those 5 things. Folks, if you don't control those 5 areas of activity, anywhere you are 38% of the population, starting on the precinct level, you will always be considered an outcast. Anywhere in America, anywhere in the world. And when I talk about people, I'm talking about black people throughout the world that have always been subservient to the people that whipped them down, the human enemies of mankind. Never fought back in a major way other than a little small group every now and then. And every time, and my guest today will also admit the fact that every time black folks made an effort to rebel against the human enemies of mankind, some of their associates pulled them aside. I'm talking about the human enemies of mankind and say, you watch out for old John Doe. Say, he got something for you tomorrow. And they will round him up and hang him and do all kinds of things. And every other group in the history of the world always did a little more than those so-called natives of Africa. We were worked well through the European system with the consent of the Bible. That was one of the major thorns in the side of the so-called Africans that came from Africa to America, to the Caribbean, and other areas. And since we're not going to put a lot of times on local politics today, people have worn that out for the last 6 weeks. We'll say a few minutes about it because we have some major elections coming up and you better vote, folks. All of you just registered. You should consider voting. And I do know that most of you are not registered to vote, that listen to this show or any show. We have about 75% of the people in Hinds County that are not voting, that's able to do it. Only about 25 to 31% will vote from time to time. And that's why you keep the same people in office, because they don't have to do anything. Their cliques will keep them in office. And the only way they get out of office in most cases, and I'm talking about the politicians elected and appointed and the preachers and corporate leaders, they have to do something that's real bad. And then they say, I'm going to have to surrender for a while because I'm sick, I have family issues, and I'm going to go home and be a good father, a good grandfather, whatever. And that's what they're supposed to say because they are no more accountable than that, and you permit it. And the 75 to 65% that don't vote should always be quiet and keep your mouth shut because you condone whatever happens politically and in these churches and these corporate entities by being silent, saying my vote is not important. My organizing on the local level is not important. My prayers are not important because I'm only trying to get to heaven when I die. I'm not too worried about what happens on earth. And that's the way you were taught, folks. I'm only talking about those that are guilty now. You know, I'm not talking about 100% of you. I'm only talking about 90% of you. I was a victim of that myself for a long time. I just say, Lord, have mercy on my poor soul. If I could just live until I die, I'm going to pray to you so I can go to heaven. And I'm still alive, still not in heaven. I don't know what to say about that, so I must talk to my co-host today and get some of his opinion. And I want to greet you, sir, and say, how are you doing, sir, Mr. Purvis Weed? I call him the great doctor because he is a humanitarian, sir. Tell the folks a little about you again. You've been on this show several times, many other shows, and talk about your podcast, man. You introduced me to some of the things you were doing some years ago on your great podcast. Talk about that. Introduce yourself. Folks need to know how important you are, what you're doing, where you are from, and why you're going to continue to live in the Jackson area, or at least Mississippi. Take it over and talk to us.
I don't know about that last part there, Doc. I'm kind of here.
Straighten me out, man. Straighten me out.
But thank you again for the invite. Purvis Williams again here in Jackson, Mississippi, born and raised. Just got back a couple of years ago due to divorce. But I'm nobody, Doc. I'm just a regular old dude, just kind of doing my thing, like most people, trying to skate on by without being too much of a bother. I guess I'll call that my problem because God didn't see that fit. Kind of wanted me to get involved in things, so kind of sent me on a mission. So Project Humanity was born in 2019. And I took the opportunity to go around the country to see if what I was seeing on television was actually what I knew about my people. So I went out and created a t-shirt that kind of looked like a Trump t-shirt, but it was for infiltration purposes. So that got me into some Trump rallies and a chance to talk to those people and find out what's really going on in their minds. It's pretty easy to talk to the Democrats. Look just like them.
Now you were acting like Sambo in there, huh? You were there, over there in the Trump era, listening to some of his people and seeing, I call it spying, to see what they're talking about. You didn't have to spy in the black camp. You already knew what they were doing.
Pretty much.
And you say, I don't appreciate what they're doing in either camp, so I'm going to start something, and you call it Project Humanity.
Yes, sir. It's actually Uniting America Project.
Talk about it a little more.
But Project Humanity was the mission itself, was to go out and investigate humanity as a whole and find out, was this reality or was it made up TV? And it's made up TV. If you go to work with these people all the time, we hanging out, we having potlucks at work, they don't hate you until they get home and watch the same news you watching that makes you hate them. And then you come back to work and you act like your best friends again. So we have a sickness called the media. And we need to get a cure for it called truth. Quit being so divided by what we see and hear on TV and deal with what we see out here in these streets. When I'm at the store, I don't see people at odds with each other. We wave and smiling. You know Mississippi. You go in the right country town, they'll wave at you while you driving. So that's the reality that I saw across the whole country. But when I came and sat down and watched television or got my phone, I guess they call it an algorithm, it constantly shows me division. It constantly shows me what has happened in the past with black people, and it shows me constantly what the police have been doing to a small group of people that we see on TV 24 hours a day. So it seems like it's just overwhelming.
Okay, but at the same time, you don't hear a lot about the other side, do you? What the black people are doing to each other. Every now and then you see a little sentence that might say in the paper or on social media, 85 homicides in city ABC, 110 in city CDE, and on and on and on, drive-bys in this city. Right. And they don't even say who did it other than after they talk about it for 30 seconds, and then it pops up pictures. Look. And you already know who's doing it. But when others do things in the other camp, they might do more often, get richer more often, and you don't hear very much. Even the people that can prosecute them don't say much.
Well, Doc, if you kind of look at what's happening right now in America, we got a hurricane that just passed yesterday and one 2 weeks ago. what you see about the 2 weeks ago hurricane is how it destroyed sundown towns. That's all I keep hearing about, is all these white people finally got what they deserved in a sundown town. Now, guess what the news is not talking about?
What is that?
All the black people who were affected by the hurricane.
Well, that's propaganda to change who is in power
So
by
it's-
vocally saying the other side is being hurt.
Right.
We're going to ignore the others that's with them that getting hurt more.
That's not what they're doing it for.
You
now.
don't think so?
No, it's the same reason they
Straighten us
show.
out. I want to be straightened out.
It's the same reason they show you on the news all the time. People that look like you on the news doing crime, so that those other people can say, "Look at those people. Look, they just like animals." That's called the power of the word. That's called you'll be punished for what you wish on your neighbors. And so when we turn around and we looking at the hurricane and saying the same thing about them, look at them in the sundown towns, we get punished.
All
so
right.
the people who are in charge, didn't they tell you you're not fighting against flesh and blood, you're fighting against evil in high places.
Who is fighting against evil?
We are.
We.
The good people are fighting against evil in high places.
What good people?
Well, I myself, I don't really know if you are considering yourself a good person or striving to be better every day, but I'm striving to be better every day. So self-correcting, accountability, and a lot of repentance is what I'm doing. So people who are doing that are trying. People who are not doing that, they're not trying.
All right then. Well, I'm going to see who is being punished. You're saying certain people are being punished. Have you ever heard of Congressman Al Green? He is a great congressman here in America currently. And he has been begging and asking Joe Biden and his vice president,
Right.
Ms. Harris, to open up an investigation for the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre that happened back in that period in Oklahoma,
Okay.
where they killed thousands of black folks. They left them homeless, they burned them out, they left them penniless, and they had no remedies since that period, and only a few are alive. 100 years later, they had two old ladies, one 109 years old and another 110, to get into a meeting
Yeah.
and beg some of the so-called black leaders to have Congress to investigate it. And since the Democrats would want to win again and stay in office, Joe Biden has decided that he's going to launch an investigation into the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. And Congress has already said we go along with this. And the man that got it started is old Congressman Al Green. I'm not talking about the old senator.
Right.
I'm talking about a guy, a congressman from Texas. He's a Democrat.
Right.
Now, do you know anything about this Boston Massacre? What did you learn in school
Tulsa.
about it? What you heard about it?
Now, in school, we didn't hear about it at all. It's not until recent years that I heard about it and I did some research on it and found out a little bit more. I actually found out something that nobody's ever talking about, other than on my page.
Well, that's why we're going to talk about it on the
You
L.
know.
Henderson Real News Show. Organizers
So,
don't criticize.
what
We're
I-
not going to criticize anyone. We're
I'm-
going to talk about it and then come up with solutions.
Can I criticize a little bit
Well,
sometimes?
that's you. Now, if you want to criticize, you do it. I don't care
Okay.
what you do.
I'll say what? I'll say this. And instead of criticizing, I'm going to take a different approach to this. What I found out about the Tulsa race riot had more to do with something else they found.
What was that, sir?
They found some oil on an Indian reservation 30 miles away from Tulsa. It was basically kind of in those city limits, as we would call it today, but it's kind of like on the outskirts of Tulsa. There was a Native American reservation, and what happened, a lot of white people started going in because the land had been given to the natives, so they couldn't get it unless they were married and the person died.
Or declared themselves
You heard about
an
this, right?
Indian. Of course, I know all about
Okay.
it. But go ahead. I want you to give your version.
Well, what had happened was, since you already know about it, they started going in and, kind of persuading the women to marry them, and then they would later kill those ladies, allegedly they would die, and then they would inherit the land. So now we got the oil rights, we have the land, 30 miles away, we need somewhere to stay. Guess who stays in a very nice community already?
Who
Has infrastructure
hit his
already in
arrow
place.
who?
Well, that would be the dark-skinned Native Americans, they call it blacks, in Tulsa. So both of those things were kind of related. When you really look at it, we found the oil fields first. We started planning on how to take that land, and then you were just a part of that whole strategy. All we had to do is say some black person did something to a white woman, and we can burn the whole town down. And that's basically what happened. It was not so much, we're looking at this from a standpoint of what happened to us. We're not even concerned about what happened to those natives that triggered this. So that's the thing, what I say, we always got to look at what was this first, second, or related?
Well, that is related. You have to determine who puts out information. It's the person that's writing the books, the history, the people that own the newspaper. And now it has been a little more equalized because of social media and the things you are doing. You're going to give both sides of the history. And you're going to make people understand that everything that happens has a cause that's usually 10 or 15 years down the road.
Because they plan long-term strategies. We're planning for today, for tomorrow, how to get a car, how to buy a house. They planning to set their kids up for generations to come. However, evil is never successful unless the people go along with it. So right now, we have to start standing up and pushing back against what we can see. We can see this. We can see that Joe Biden just decided to do this investigation into the race riot because the Democrats are having a hard time convincing people to vote for him in November.
You think that's the only reason he's doing that? He and his vice president?
That's the only reason they went to the UN today, from what I saw today on my timeline today, talking about they're condemning Israel now and they're ready to stop a war.
Who said that?
One of them ladies on the TV, you know, it wasn't Biden himself. I saw a news clip, but it was they're ready to condemn him, and I wasn't prepared for this part of the dimension, but now they pulling back on
Well,
their
see,
statements.
the thing you have to understand is getting close to the election.
Yeah, it's November.
When you are supporting both sides, and we're going to prove this in a minute, you can't say exactly what you want to do. So if you have locked in votes and you want to get elected for another 4 years, you'll be solid when necessary. And then you'll start talking just before election to mess up the minds of some, so they think you're going to do what they call the right thing. And you're going to find in just a few minutes that the American government supporting both sides of this war through the United Nations, through mandates from the United States, and through the European major nations. And many people only go and see one side, won't do the research, won't look at 15 and 30 years down the road and see exactly what happened. So Al Green, this congressman of Texas, is a Democrat, and he's telling his friends, I'm going to help you get
some
a
more
few
reparations.
new votes, get a little money, get these two old black ladies some money because they took up property, left her penniless, killed thousands of folks.
And we concerned about that.
That's right, and I might ask you later on, if you win, to make me an ambassador somewhere in Africa. Or
If I win, what?
If he wins, if the Democrats win the presidency.
Man, this right here is another example of a distraction that is meant to take us away from what's actually real news and important. Now, these are alleged statements I'm about to make, but they have a lot of validity because they are dodging them right now in media. What is going on with your vice president? We found out some striking news that she's been hiding her past. Her history is flawed.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do if you want to be a preacher or an elected or appointed official. You don't go and expose what's under the garment, sir.
No,
You
it's
don't
not,
do that.
but shouldn't we have some type of level of honesty and transparency when it comes to the people. We're asking to run the biggest, most strongest, mightiest, weaponized country in the whole world.
No, not if you want to be a winner. Now, you know, we don't want to expose our past. You know, very few people will do that. If they do, they are God sent, and they
Well-
won't get elected or appointed to a major public office on the local, state, national, international level. You know, and I do, know the same, and that's why they don't go and say, I am guilty here.
Well, again, that's the problem is they won't say they're guilty. So why are we voting for them knowing it's questionable?
Well, you just heard those rumors about those folks. They will not say yes, it's true.
No, they're not going to say anything so that you have to really discern whether or not it's true or false. So you're going to avoid the conversation so that we can't get to the truth.
Okay, no such thing as truth.
Yes, it is.
Unless you are an opponent of what you want done for yourself. The truth is whatever you say, whatever you write.
No, Doc.
That's the real historical fact in the world.
No, Doc, that's not the truth. That is what we have
I
accepted.
am only giving you an illustration of what has been accepted throughout the world.
Yeah, it's time to stop that. It's
It
time
is,
to stop the
and
accepting.
I can agree with that.
You know, we can't keep accepting whatever just because of a person's statue. That's getting us nowhere.
I can understand that. Now let me just conclude and tell you what folks know about what we're talking about. They call it the Black Wall Street deal in Greenwood, Oklahoma, where the black folks live. They had about 40 square blocks of neighborhood with banks and all kinds of clubs and organizations,
Yeah.
apartments, businesses, and everything. They were independent from the other part of the city. Their little town, like it used to be in Jackson, black area was called Farish Street. In this town, it was called, let me see what name, called it Greenwood, that's right, Greenwood. It was in a little old city in Oklahoma. And they took these areas from these black folks. They even had airplanes to bomb some of the part of the area. And they arrested thousands, tortured many, and say you got to make a disappearance. And no one been accountable until now. And when they start working on this little investigation, it's going to fizzle out right after the next election,
Now, let me ask you a
regardless of
question.
who wins.
Let me ask you a question, Doc.
Yes, sir.
What year were you born in?
1944.
When did you hear about this?
I heard about it in the mid 1960s.
1960s?
Right. We didn't talk about those kind of things when I went to school. They didn't know nothing about
But you
it.
heard about it in the 60s.
I heard about it in the 60s. Then I started research.
And what did they do in the 60s?
Who?
Whoever informed you on
They
this.
didn't do nothing about it. Just talked about it, forgot about it.
Okay, and what you think you just kind of
I
mentioned
just tell
that
you what's going to happen.
after
here.
the election, this is going to fizzle away too.
That's right.
Because we don't have the attention span to carry through on anything important other than a football game and who's going to be the new coach in Colorado. We go follow that. But when it comes to things of importance, like a goldfish, you as soon as you get a piece of food in your mouth, you forgot
Who
about
are
it.
you talking about? You talking about white folks, black folks? Who are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about Americans, period.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we're all in this same little boat of crazy. Right now we have, now this is alleged again because we don't know if this is a rumor, $750 that the FEMA was given to people on the hurricane is a loan. It's not a, here's some help, it's a loan. So are we loaning missiles to Israel? Are we loaning weapons to Ukraine? Do we expect that money back, or are we getting it in land? Because if we have to go through a hurricane and $750 is what we're able to get if we get online with some electricity, but I have to pay that back or you can seize property. If y'all don't vote all these folks out come November, we have a problem. we got a problem.
Well, let me tell you, Dr. Wade, you're the only man I know here recently that's talking about all the elected and appointed officials ought to be voted out of office. And
Prove
those
me
that-
wrong, Doc.
I'm not going to prove you wrong. I'm just saying what you say. I don't have anything to say good or bad about it. You have to say anything you want. But one thing for certain, if you have all the folks that's currently in office voted out,
Yeah.
could it be worse if new people will come in, sir?
Well, put it like this: if this is what experienced politicians have been doing, I would rather have some children in there.
And explain, sir, explain.
Because right now we are fighting about wages and what's going to be inflation if the wages go up too high. Well, inflation has already been going up for years and years and years, and wages didn't move. So adults clearly don't know math or can't remember anything that is substantial enough for them to say, hey, these fools have raised the cost of a Big Mac, gas, houses, water. Hell, we gotta buy water now, Doc. But our wages haven't moved in 30 years, and we're gonna fight to keep them low, because if they go up again, then we'll have more inflation. I said, what is wrong with us? Inflation it's always been going on.
You don't supposed to pay no attention to that. You're supposed to try to live day to day. Don't worry about inflation. If it goes up 10 or 15%, you forget something and spend that money, that 10 to 15% on what you need. And then you just say, if I can make it tomorrow and do the same thing, I'll be all right.
Man,
That's what a lot of people live for and live by. I just want to get by today
Right.
and hope I can rise so I can do tomorrow the same way. Now, let me tell you who else thinking about this kind of stuff. Now, you ever heard of a guy named Dr. Ivory Phillips? He is a contributing editor to the Jackson Advocate. Every time I read that newspaper, Dr. Phillips is hitting things right on the head. He has a great article in the paper this time, in the Jackson Advocate, in the October 10th through the 16th issue, 2024. And he has a question here. He says, what behind the haste to get in the Jackson mayoral race? Now, why do you think a lot of people, Dr. Williams, and then we're going to talk about what Dr. Phillips said, and then I'm going to give you the Hendersonistic version of what he said.
The Hendersonistic.
That's right. So we can just sort of look at this thing from three sides.
Okay.
Dr. Phillips' side, your side, and my side. And since my side is always dealing with facts, I'm not going to even proclaim what yours and his will be.
Mine gonna be all what I think, Doc.
Talk to us then. Tell us.
All right. Why I think they're all trying to get in the race so fast? Well, the FBI just came in not too long ago and started handing out, I'm gonna say, warnings to the city of Jackson. And I've heard a couple of rumors about some of those warnings. We won't discuss them because that's just something I think I was told in secret, and I'll wait to see if it.
No, we don't want to
actually happens.
discuss allegations.
Yeah, we don't want to
discuss
that.
facts.
So what I think the hurry to get in the race is about is people can see the city. People who live in the city don't want to hear it anymore. It's time for change in the cities, in the people's minds. So I believe people are hurrying to get in the race just because they have a feeling that change is here now and the people want it more than ever. So give them some options. Whether or not there is more arrests made, more indictments handed down, I don't think the people care right now. We want to see change. We want to see potholes disappear. I'm listening to one of the shows last night with the judge and Wild Man, Randy Brown, Miss Wild. And again, I heard this on their show. Somebody, one of the voted in people, asked for their cul-de-sac to be paved. $400,000 job. Not in bad condition as it is, but since they have power, they're getting the money. Now, here's the thing. We got streets around the city that need to be paved. Nobody's giving a care. So our politicians are abusing their own power to take care of their own interests and neglecting the people. And I think the people are tired of that.
You think so?
I really do.
Okay, you have any other complaints then?
complaints myself personally.
Yes, sir.
What's going on in Lake Hyco, Doc?
Well, nothing going on in Lake Hyco that's positive or constructive. We're not gonna get it.
What's happening at Lake Hyco?
Nothing.
All right, so for everybody who knows what's happening in Lake Hyco, that is the city property, and we don't know. I got a question for you. I want to ask you.
Go ahead, sir.
Now, this one, we're gonna need a politician to answer this. Probably you might maybe help me. I keep hearing people say the state is trying to take over the airport. The state is trying to take over Smith Wills. The state is trying to take over Jackson. Now, as a citizen, do you care who's in charge, or do you care that the facility runs and works well?
Okay. I believe Handyman is going to send an answer over here from the call-in. I want to thank you, caller. Handy, I don't see it yet. Will you please pop it again? Hit that number again, sir. No, I don't see it over here yet. But we're going to answer that question. If the caller doesn't answer it,
I want to know.
I'm going to give you an answer from what I understand about these matters.
Because again, I don't know politics and how it works. I just know I want Smith Wills to be a place where I can go and watch games and it's real nice and popcorn, peanuts and all that. I want the airport to look beautiful like it's 2024 when I go to it. I don't really care who is in charge of it.
You don't say.
I don't.
All right, so you don't care.
I don't care who's in charge of fixing the streets as long as they don't tear up my Jeep.
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to see what this caller is going to say.
Do you care, Doc?
I'm going to give my opinion later. No, it's not coming through. We're going to work on some technical difficulties, and then we will be able to get some callers.
Tell them to call your cell phone.
No, it's not coming through, engineer. Don't worry about it, Mr. Engineer. We'll just take it if they want to.
Oh, you get it on the right line?
Yeah, it's on the right line. It's just technical issues. We don't worry about things that we can't control right at the minute. Let's go on and get on what we're talking about. Now, what is your question?
I'm saying, do you care who is in charge of fixing stuff, or do you want the stuff to be fixed? Because they've already taken over water. Because we don't have any city employees, don't look like, do we? Like, I hadn't seen a blue shirt in a city truck in so many years. I have been gone for a while, but good gracious, they should be everywhere. Targeting areas that need to be repaired and fixed.
Well, I understand they do that when they get 15 or 30 calls about a major issue. And I've been told for several years that the official will go by and look at it.
Yeah.
And you can't call them then and ask them what they're going to do about it. And if you do, they're not going to answer the phone. So maybe they're busy on another route looking at another problem that someone called them about.
And we constantly say, they're doing the same things that the white people did when they got in office.
Oh, really?
That's what you hear. They stealing, well, the white man was stealing. Well, we keep hearing that. But now I'm watching the police go after or investigate situations about white people. And I'm seeing them going after and arresting people about black people. So when I hear that the white people used to do it, how do I know that's true, or is that something we just like to say? We love to say it, but can we prove it?
Prove what?
That they were stealing and taking money because the streets were paved, the schools were closed, and we had jobs.
Well, so that's when you take more money. The highlight is not on.
So what you're saying is they had enough sense to steal a little bit while they fixed streets and kept the schools open and repaired facilities, but they don't have enough sense to do that now.
Well, now, I'm not saying that, but I do know if you want to do some serious criminal activity, you have a shield in the man's mind and in his eyes where things are looking real good, and he will pay attention to what you're doing.
Okay.
So you don't do a lot of wrong at one time. You just do it continuously, getting $100,000 here, $100,000 there.
Yeah.
And you do it for 25 or 30 years, and you can retire without any major repercussions against you.
So what they
But
doing
if
then?
you're greedy, you'll try to do it all at one time.
So is that what you're saying possibly is the case here? The reason we can't get a street fixed, no jobs, the schools are closing, and maintenance is terrible around the entire city is because instead of them having enough sense to take a little bit at a time, they tried to take it all at once.
Well, no, I didn't say that. I'm just giving you an assumption and what I call an illusion that things are happening. We do have a good name coming in
Let's
here.
see
I'm
what
not
we
going to
got
mention
here.
his name, but
Let's
we're going
get
to
it
talk
to
to him. Hello, caller. Go ahead, sir.
My friend, Dr. Henderson, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. Who is calling?
It's Mr. Malcolm Johnson. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine, sir. What do you have on your mind today? I want some solutions now. I want some solutions.
Yes, I want to take my hat off to you for talking about the problem. You know, so many people out here talking about everything but the problem. And let me show you the problem.
Talk
If
to
you
me.
go into Fondren, you'll see the mayor working. If you go there by Martin Luther King, when they're going to have homecoming at the Martin, by the new high school, there's been a bridge out right there by Reverend P.J. Williams Church for 5 months. Do you hear me, Mr. Henderson?
I hear you, sir.
Dr. Henderson?
I hear you.
This is what's going on. We got a mayor that ain't doing nothing for black folks and trying to fool white folks. We got to get him out of there.
Give us some examples of what you're talking about. Voters and hearers and non-seers want to hear and know what you're talking about, sir. Everyone is not blind. Most of them are.
He go in the black neighborhood and tell the black people the white man trying to hold me back. Oh, the white man doing this. Oh, the white man trying to stop the airport from prospering. He ain't even get over with the white people and give Virgil Liz, the husband, $500,000 just because. Do you hear me?
I hear you, sir. Now, do you?
Dr. Henderson, hold on, listen, you a genius.
No.
All right,
Go ahead.
you know so you're a smart man, all right? Your father was a smart man. I know y'all. Y'all good people from both of Mississippi. Okay. The job that man is doing, he could have let you done that job for half that price. And guess what the man doing?
What is he doing, sir?
Nothing. Have a good day.
All right. Now, you are talking like you are not a Democrat, and I know you are, sir. Don't call back and say anything that I'm going to say. But now you have a strong opinion, and you are a Democrat talking about Democrats, and someone's going to be upset with you, sir, even though you might be telling the truth or you might not, according to some. Now, to some, you are telling the truth. Others that know you're telling the truth, not going to admit it, they're going to say you're lying. Some will be saying you're talking because you want to be mayor of Jackson, and because you're a good Democrat. You hate it because you have made an effort in the past to run for a position and didn't get them, and you're going to whip somebody else because they were able to win, and you still don't see anything change as to what you wanted to do if you've gotten in office. Now, don't call me back and explain it. You know I know you well, and I know you're a smart man too, very smart. I've had a lot of appreciation for you for years because we do know each other. We're from the same area, and you've been dealing a long time. That's all I want to say about you.
But now, true.
Yes, sir.
If somebody telling the truth, Doc, and it offends you, then you need to grow up.
Of course.
That's all that is. If you telling the truth about somebody and they get offended, they need to go to therapy.
They do?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
your truth cannot be offensive.
No, it can't.
No, you can Google that. I just did the other
I
day
know it.
because somebody was trying to tell me you offensive, you closing doors that can't be open. Well, if the truth closes a door, I'm gonna nail it shut. I don't want to deal with that. Demons like lies. Demons deceive. See, some reason people have believed their whole life that the Holy Ghost will come into them and change them for the better. But for some reason, they don't remember why Jesus cast demons into a pig. They forgot about demons' existence. The preacher doesn't tell you about demons. He's always talking about that Holy Ghost, though, and how much good that can do. Well, what about these demons?
Well,
These demons that are inhabiting our people, who are leading our kids in the wrong direction, who have possessed us all at some point, and we had to pull away from that wrong direction. See, we don't want to recognize that. We just want to talk about the Holy Ghost. Let's be positive.
well,
How can we be positive if we lying to ourselves?
well, you can't, but I wanted to get back, and I'm going to start parroting now like a politician. I'm going to get off that what you're talking about.
I got you.
And get back to this article by Dr. Phillips, one of the smartest writers and most known historian. The man has written all kinds of journals.
Now, is he going to
books.
run against the
No,
mayor?
he's too smart to run. Dr. Phillips is a consultant. He is such a nice guy, Republican, Democrat, male, females, and others that are running for any kind of job, whether
Yeah.
it's superintendent or a politician, or they're running to be a preacher at a church that they want and the members don't want them. They will go to somebody like Dr. Phillips, because the man has a balanced sense of action. He is a fair-minded person,
Okay.
and he is a historian, so he knows how to channel his questions and his solutions in your behalf if you are standing for the right thing. But he is saying here that we have not almost, at least 10 individuals
Okay.
that have announced they will run for Jackson. And he said there are some sleepers out there that others have not announced publicly that they are running.
Okay.
And he is alluding to the fact, and this is my interpretation of what he's saying, that they could wait a little longer because it's going to be a long time before we have an election.
When is the,
going to be in the spring of 2025.
Spring of 25, and they
That's
don't.
right.
When do they have? What's the deadline for the announcement? Is it? I thought I heard January.
Well, it is going to be, I believe, January the 31st.
Give me $5. I'm gonna run.
Well, no. Well, some people, if you call certain people after the show, I tell you who you can call, and they
I'm
give
just joking.
you
I
$5,000.
I have not researched enough into politics and the job duties in order to want or deserve a position like that. I'm still researching to find out a little bit more about politics. I'm too busy right now cussing and complaining to politicians about, well, I know this is your job, so we need you to do that. I'm not ready to try to run.
You're not ready to run yet?
No, I don't think that's I don't think that's for me.
Well, according to Dr. Phillips, the JA contributor editor of the Jackson Advocate, in this issue, October the 10th through the 16th, 2024, he is saying there are a lot of other reasons why people have so many running for this office. You know, the
Yeah.
mayor of Jackson, say 10 are announced, and there's some sleepers out there that have not publicly said, is because certain people, and you mentioned them earlier, want to get in a position where they can control whoever the mayor is. And some of the allegations are very clear that you have to run a lot of people so
Yeah.
you can have them to get 2 or 3% of the vote from the person that you actually want to win. And all of your candidates have not announced yet. You just want to get a feel of what is going on, and then you're going to put your real candidate out later. And according to this article, it says because the white population constitute only 15% of Jackson population, the white savior is not likely to emerge. So if you can't have a white savior, you're going to have to find a black savior that represent himself as black so he can be the real representative of white according to my interpretation of this article. And then you were going to have, and this is a great word, and then you're going to have what we call the remote control mayor.
Let me tell you
That
something.
he is going to be looking black
Yeah.
and talking white, giving the
Okay.
contracts to certain people
Yeah.
that encourage him to do so. And if he has to make a decision, and I've been telling this joke for years, that when you're under the control, and I got another a person, I want this candidate to call back.
Yeah,
Handyman,
call back, Rick.
we got to talk to this one. Tell that candidate, you're here, the candidate.
I want to ask you something, though, Doc.
Yeah, well, we got to hear this man that's calling
Yeah.
us in.
They need to
And
bring
send
that
it back
in.
to us, handyman.
I think the people in Jackson are open to whatever color you are right now. If you got some plans,
Oh, really?
yeah, I really do believe
I
it,
believe
man.
that. I believe that.
I think we've reached that point where we're like, look, we've tried this long enough, and I know me personally, looking at my mama's situation and my family's situation, where they spend all this money on these homes, and the value has not gone up. It's steady decreasing.
Okay, we have this call.
Who's running?
Go ahead, caller. Henderson, Elder Henderson, Real News. Go ahead, sir.
Dr. Henderson.
Yes, sir.
David Arthur here. How are you?
I'm doing about 95%, sir. I have a little problem. I got 5% more to go, and it's probably almost 6 o'clock. I got to do
Well,
better.
Dr. Henderson, with that young man that's standing by you, let me get...
This
I'm
Curtis
gonna try to
Williams,
put
what's
it
going on,
real
Mr. Arthur?
simple, real quick. You like for someone to get it done in 30, 60, or 90 days. Is that right, Doc?
It can start and almost be done. Almost any human problem can be solved to the point if you start in 36, 90 days and have a good prioritized corrective action plan. You can do enough to keep your people happy. Of course, I believe that.
Well, Jackson, Mississippi is in a state of emergency. let me say that again, Doc.
Say it again and explain what you
Of
mean.
emergency.
Explain
When
it.
you have multiple problems at one time, and you need many millions of dollars, perhaps $1 billion, to fix these problems, you gotta have somebody that knows how to go out and get the money to get it done. Listen, we can start with the water, potholes, grass meat cutting, abandoned houses, lights out all over the place, street lights are out, homeless problems, drug problems, mental ill problems, trash all over the place, illegal dumping. Downtown is crumbling. People are running red lights, crime are high, Paris Street is not going on. There's nothing going on with Paris Street. Corruption that is taking place. Airport is being taken. Smith Wheels is being taken. The zoo is not doing well. Infrastructure problems, public works problems, don't have enough police officers. Grandma can't come out on the porch. Granddaddy is scared to go into his yard, thinks he's going to be robbed. The capital murder of Mississippi is the capital murder of the United States of America right here in Jackson City.
Mr. Archer,
If that is not a state of emergency, what is a state of emergency? It's a hurricane and a tornado that is going on right here in our capital city, and you got to have some solutions to fix those problems. And the number one solution to fix those problems, police officers need pay raises. You need money to fix the infrastructure. You need to cry out to the United States government saying, look, we have all of these problems. We need money, tax dollars here, not going overseas, not going to a war, but right here in Jackson, Mississippi. What they need is somebody to go to Washington, D.C., in the state capitol, from Jackson, Mississippi, to raise enough hell to get the money in this capital city.
who's supposed to do that, sir? Who's supposed to do it, Mr. Archer?
Man that might be able to do this.
Who is that?
My name is David L. Archer. I haven't made up my mind yet. A lot of people wanted me to run for this mayoral seat. A lot of people talking to me about it. I have not given the answer of making it happen quite yet. But let me just tell you something.
Tell me something. Tell me something.
In 4 years, I brought nearly $175 million to Hinds County District 2 in 4 years. That's more money than any supervisors in the 82 counties of the state of Mississippi. One thing that I've received from the state of Mississippi was excellence in government. I know how to get it done. I know how to go and meet with Sidney Hyde, Roger Wicker. I know how to meet with Michael Guest and Benny Thompson and anybody else in Washington, D.C. to bring the bread back to Jackson, Mississippi or Hinds County. And that is the bottom line. We got to have somebody that can work with the people in order to get it done, Don.
Well, hold on.
We are in bad shape in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay, let me tell you something, Mr. David Archer. I know you. You are a great man. I've been knowing you at least 42 years. And let me tell you, maybe Dr. Phillips knows about you. He says there have been 10 applicants and candidates to get on the roll as mayoral candidates for the city of Jackson. And he says there are others that have not been publicly identified, and they are in the lowland, covered up, waiting to make an announcement later on. Now, are you one of those? You almost admitted that. Are you one of those, Mr. David Archer, that might run for mayor?
Look, Dr. Henderson,
Yes, sir.
you're good, man. I know your father, and I knew you. Look, let me tell you something. I have not committed myself to anything yet when it comes to running for mayor. But if I commit myself to running for the mayor of Jackson, there is nobody that is in that race that has the pedigree that David Archie has in terms of kicking down doors and making it happen. I know how to make it happen, Dr. Henderson, and I'm not afraid of any man that walks, any person that moves. I'm committed to fixing the problems that the people in this city, all over this city, South Jackson, North, East, West, Sandy Oaks, Vernon Addition, and the poorest areas of Jackson, Mississippi, to fix the problems that they're having. I'm committed to getting that done, if I decide to run for mayor. I have not made up my mind, but Doc, you'll be the first to know.
Well, let me tell you, when you decide, you call me first and come on this show, and let's talk about it for the city of Jackson voters and non-voters to hear, and other people throughout the world that know it. And then they can determine whether you or some of them others are going to be what we call the remote control, or the what we call shadow people, or one that's going to be independent enough. And you're almost saying you have so much independence and knowledge that you can go and get millions and billions of dollars and make things happen. So you need to decide. I want you to pray real hard tonight and call me back tomorrow. I see Mr.
Last
Archer.
but not least, Dr.
Yes, sir, go
let me
ahead.
tell you, I agree with you. I'm the only supervisor that's ever been in Hines County that received an award for excellent. I didn't say was pretty good, but excellent in government in Hines County.
Where you get it from? Who gave it to you, sir?
The Mississippi Association of Supervisors of the 82 counties in the state of Mississippi.
Mr. Archer. Now, you know...
I'm a bad man. They said
Well, let
I'm
me
a
tell you
bad
something.
man.
Let me
I'm
tell you
like-
something right quick, Mr. Archie. I know about that organization. I know you're supposed to, as a supervisor, all of you are supposed to go to that organization. You're supposed to become a member. When you go there, you're supposed to learn what's going on, how to manage the city. They have all kinds of training there from professionals, local, state, and national, international professionals. You're supposed to sit there and get a certification, and you're not supposed to be partying all night and getting programmed and coming back and pretend you attended and get that certification. Which one did you do, sir?
I was able to get that certification by paying attention, going to class, staying up late at night, studying and making it happen, and then going on to prove that it works by bringing nearly $175 million to Hines County and to the city of Jackson.
Hold on.
I've done that.
Let me
We
tell you.
made that happen within 4 years.
Mr.
If
David
you add
Archer.
that up, if you add that up, Reverend, that's about $37.5 million per year, which equals to $150 million.
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Archie, if you can do all of that, you most certainly should get in this race and be the announced number 11. Do 4 years as mayor, and with all those great abilities, then you ought to consider two things: run for the governor of Mississippi or one to the United States Senate and go up there in Washington and get this whole state ready to go and be competitive again and not number 50 at the bottom in all categories. What you think about
I
that, sir?
appreciate that. I appreciate that, Dr. Henderson. You know, when I was in office, they only talked about how I brought attention to that board, but I brought attention to that board by raising enough hell in order for the people to pay attention. But at the end of the day, I got the job done.
Yeah.
So what we need in Jackson, Mississippi is somebody that can get the job done. No excuses. Not talking about give me a little while longer, but get the job done. Once you get into that office, get off that horse and make it happen.
Okay, well, Mr. David Archie, I want to thank you for calling, and I want to tell you one thing. If you decide to run for mayor and then decide to be the governor of Mississippi or a United States senator, you get in office, I want you to do two things for me. Go and get all that money you can, and then you're going to have to get enough votes to do what you need to do. Get those council people in a back room, work on them verbally, physically, and any way you want. Come out smiling and say we have a majority to do what we're going to do. Do the same thing on the state level or the national level, and somebody might make you, force you to run for vice president in about 8 years. Now, I don't want you to get too excited. I don't want you to get excited. But I'm telling you, the way you're talking, you can make all these things happen.
The record is there. All they have to do is ask for the record. Anybody that wanted it, I'll take it and I'll show it to them and put it in writing to them. I already have it. Thank you so very much. I thought I will continue to listen to your show. I appreciate you bringing all these important messages to the people.
Thank you, Mr. David Archie. Thank you. Former
Thank you,
Supervisor, District 2, Hines County, Mississippi. Okay,
Yeah.
Dr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
You heard the man. You heard it.
Hey,
What
you
you think?
sound
What
like-
you think about that?
He sounded like he got the fight in him to do the fight. Again, new to Jackson, new to this whole political situation, so I'm researching and don't really know a lot of people yet. You got to call, Doc.
Yeah, we have one.
Let's
go
get
and-
that last
let's
one in
get it.
there.
We got to get it. Go ahead, caller. We want to hear from you quickly. We don't have but a few minutes.
Dr. Henderson, how you doing, Pastor Jackson?
Pastor Jackson, I've been listening to hear from you for at least 6 months. Go ahead, sir. I'm doing fine. What's on your mind this evening?
Listen, I want to thank you for bringing my friend on today, David Austin. I want David to know if he decides to run, I got $5,000 waiting on him to help him in this campaign. I want him to know I'm endorsing him. We all endorse him. David's back. It's not fair. David know how to go up there, work across the aisle, with all of us. That's what you need. You don't need a man talking this and talking that, and get drunk, doing this and doing that. Lying on folks saying this. Be a man. David is all man.
Well,
And thank you for taking the call.
thank you, Reverend Jackson. You know, I know you too. You used to be a pastor down in my community years ago. When my old granddaddy was a deacon and superintendent of the Sunday school and so forth and so on. And you are a money man. You know how to get that money. Now, if you can do $5,000 right now, I bet you can call 5 or 10 more preachers, get more, and then those corporate folks. I know you have a lot of connections with the corporate entity in this state and in this region. You probably can raise over $200,000. So if you can do that for Mr. Archie, he would be a serious candidate. Am I right or wrong?
Listen, you are dead right. We're going to raise way more money than that.
You're going to make him change his mind and stop thinking about it and make an announcement real soon. Reverend Jackson, do you know what you're saying?
Well, now listen, you have a whole lot to do with it also, Dr. Hill.
In what way, sir?
You have great influence. Use your influence on it.
I am nonpartisan, Reverend Jackson. I am a nonpartisan person, which means I don't publicly announce anyone. I do my talking in private and in secret with all the candidates and decide whether or not I tell them they need not run or not. They're wasting their time. But you know, I'm always...
That's why I'm saying this about David. I know David. I've been knowing him since he was a child. We were never the same church.
That's correct. Okay. Well, I want to thank
Your
you.
daddy is 90-something years old, and he still cutting my hair.
Yeah, he's 100 now, sir. He turned 100 the other day. Yes, sir.
Bless his heart.
Very good,
And
sir.
know what he's doing.
Of course, of course. That's a Henderson for you. Okay.
Listen, y'all look like Siamese twins.
Hot dog it. I didn't know that, sir. So now you're saying
When
he's
you
my
look
dad.
around, that's your daddy. You can't deny him.
I don't deny. I say he is. If my mama say he is, I say he is. That's the way I look at it. Thank you, Reverend Jackson.
David, to know I'm with him, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dr. Williams,
Go ahead.
I want you to give us some information about you and your contact information. You have a great program.
I'm gonna tell
And how
you.
can people help you out?
I was just gonna say, if y'all can raise some money, then you know I got some actual plans that actual fix stuff. So y'all want to hit me up 601-488-0472. I'm not running for anything, and I don't need you to campaign for me, but I actually have plans. And one I just finished the design on is my perpetual motion machine that generates electricity and energy to supply for the irrigation system for the farming, local farming, bringing back. So it's a whole lot of stuff I have already on paper that you've seen the emails
I
to.
have seen.
So I'm looking for funding right now for those things. So look for United American Project or Project Humanity on Facebook, Instagram. And remember, I'm fighting for the children, not for grown-ups who should be fighting for the children. So I'm a lot of times criticizing where Doc is organizing. I'm telling you what we need to do, like Mr. Archer just said. We have a mental health problem, crisis going on.
Well, you got to have
So-
2 or 3 different places to stretch. You know, you got to have the mosquitoes, the ant, the needle, and other things on
Yeah.
the same person, so they can scratch a lot of different places. And they might get an idea that something wrong with me. I need a cure, so I can be scratching less. Now that's an analogy that I'm
I
using,
got
which
you.
I'm not going to explain.
Well, see, the cure is often right here in your face sometimes, and you don't want to use it because you're so used to doing the same thing over and over again. It becomes comfortable. So when somebody comes in and says, "Hey, try this," People don't want to do it anymore.
Okay, well, let me tell you, Dr. Williams, I appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you
We've had a
again.
great show, in my opinion, and we've had some great callers to come in with positive information. They were not criticizing anyone, they were just stating facts.
They did that.
They stating facts, they are saying there could be a change, and some say we need it immediately, and others are thinking about it, and some say I'm gonna do something about it because I wanna win. You know, 10 of them already declared that I wanna be mayor of Jackson. And you know, we have a big old election coming up for the District 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind
And it's
of
council district,
the runoff.
city council, that's gonna be in a day or two. Just all kind of things going on in Hinds County, and we got a good man here from Evans, Mississippi, Mr. Handyman. He's saying it's probably time to wrap up, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it, and thank you very much. Let's go, Mr. Handyman.
Let's break you out of here. Thank you again, Doc. Them calls be good, man. Them calls be good. So, hey, man, anytime you need the airtime, let me know. Because this is fun for me. Hey, don't forget your phone. And we're going to have to get back to the video and some.